Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We are your co-hosts. I'm Brian.
And I'm Robin Joy.
And this is Coach's Corner.
Hey, Brian. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Yes.
Let's talk strategy today.
Strategy. You know, we were digging around. We had this book from, you had this book from when you were doing your graduate degree. And we fell in love with this book because it's so good.
We've gone back to this book many times.
Right? And if you haven't noticed, what we try and do is take like a lot of business fundamentals that are known regardless of the industry and try to apply it to third-party resellers that are reselling on existing Amazon listings regardless of the buy box. Right? We've got a
arbitrage.
With arbitrage, right. We got a very specific type, if you will, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we always like to try and take what is a, well-known, time-tested strategy and apply it to what we're doing here.
It reinforces what we do. It reinforces what we teach, and it makes it not just everything come out of our own heads, because we don't know that much without some support.
And so we were shopping recently and walking down the aisle, which we don't do that much anymore since we live near downtown. We have almost everything delivered.
Always.
But when we get out to the store and whenever I see a space on the shelf that is empty, my mind goes immediately to, that's an underserved ASIN.
Yep. Right. There's a reason it's empty, and it's likely because it's selling faster than they can keep it on the shelf. They probably have more coming, but it's not there yet.
More demand than supply. Right? More demand than supply.
Exactly.
And when we see those situations in the store, that makes me think, by the way, where are those spots usually located?
Oh, they're usually way high where I can't reach, or way low where you have to get on your knees and crawl under
where you
there.
have to ask your 6-year-old to get down there and get it.
One of our shoppers, exactly. One of our shoppers had her little kids. We have pictures of them going in there and getting the stuff off the bottom shelf.
Yeah.
And one of our shoppers, actually, we bought her a tool so that she could reach. She's way taller than me, but she could reach the very top shelf and pull stuff from the back.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we've put in place. So you know this is real. That we really do look top and bottom. And empty shelves, and our minds naturally go there.
So that got me thinking about some of these business fundamentals. Well, I mean, especially with us today, everything is an ASIN. Everything is an ASIN. We look at anything in our anything in our life is an ASIN.
We say we've got an issue, and we say, well, if it were an ASIN, this is what I would do.
How would we handle this if it were an ASIN? That's right. So
we should write the book "Life Lessons Learned from ASINs."
That's right. Hey, that's a good one.
Maybe
I like
we
that.
will.
Yeah. So we're going to pull a couple of concepts, a few concepts from this amazing book that we got. Which, by the way, Are you
going to share the book?
I don't have it right here, actually. Let me step away 1 second. Through the magic of editing, you'll never know I was gone. Well, I'm glad you asked. I do have the book right here. It's called Crafting and Executing Strategy, The Quest for Competitive Advantage.
Okay. And this is a textbook. Nobody's asking you to read this. Yeah. But we thought since you keep talking about the book, we should share what book it was.
It's a 4-person author. Thompson, Pederaff, Gamble, and Strickland were the authors.
As textbooks often are.
It is like a monster of a book. And so certainly we're not suggesting that you go read it. But
it's like 8.5 by 11, 3 inches thick.
But the cool part about it is really the book itself is like the first third. And the last 2/3 of the book is case studies, real life examples of how you would apply many of the things, a few of the things like we're going to talk about today, but everything they talk about in the book, how it gets applied in the business world. We do real company examples, business examples, and everything.
So we've learned a lot from this.
So we've learned a ton. And it's whenever I start feeling like if this probably has a simple solution, I can usually go pull out this book.
Well, there are frameworks in this book that we can apply. And you're going to tell some of those today, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So let's jump into the first one, actually.
All right.
This is that the framework here, or the idea, the concept is that where you compete matters more than what you sell. Okay.
I absolutely agree with that. I sell things that I'm not even sure what they're used for. I sell all kinds of things that I've never heard of before. That's not the important part.
Right. But more than what you sell, where you compete. Okay, where are we? We are on Amazon, but we can even niche down Amazon there, right? We can do FBA, we can do FBM, we can do big and bulky, we can do small and light.
We can target different customers.
We can target like luxury brand stuff. We can go, 97-cent paints or whatever. I mean, there's just a lot of different places that we can play here. So, yeah, where we're playing matters much more than what we're playing with.
Right. And I think that one of the things that we always try to do is target those customers who are looking for speed. That I can give them speed a lot of times on some of these ASINs where other sellers can't.
Yeah.
And so they're willing to pay for it. And that's who buys my stuff most of the time.
Yeah.
They're the people who are willing to pay a little more to get things. And it's not just they get things this afternoon or overnight. It's the ones that are 48 hours, the regular prime. There are many, many listings who are not available within 48 hours. And those are the ones that I just hang in there until I get received in the warehouse. And I'm the fastest one, and they don't care what the other ones are. In fact, Amazon often features our price because we're there, not because we're the lowest price.
That's right. Yeah, I see that all the time. Even like $5, $10 or
business.
More on a listing. Yeah. Okay, so this concept comes from Michael Porter. I got to give credit where credit is due.
Okay.
Right? Michael Porter was this economist, Harvard economist, who in the 70s came up with this concept. And he wanted to explain why some industries are more profitable than others, right? Regardless of what they're selling. And his insight was that competition isn't just about who your rivals are, but it's shaped really by 5 forces that either squeeze or support your profits.
Okay.
So let's unpack those real quick. Rivalry among sellers. So who your main competitors are, right? This is like very much in play, like with like Microsoft and Apple, right?
Yeah.
Rivalry kind of thing. Adidas and Nike,
right?
You know, things like that. The threat of new entrants being the second one. Like, how easy is it to get started? And here's the maybe uncomfortable truth: if you're selling in this space right now, anyone with a credit card and a Keepa account can get started in this business. But it's also why it's so appealing, right?
Right. Exactly, because there's availability for many of us who would not have been able, I can't be an electrician. I can't start an electrician company. I don't have a certification. I can't start a doctor's office. I don't have an MD, right? So this makes it easy for many people to get in. So that's a good thing.
And for a lot of people, like, and I can't start a franchise because I don't have $250,000 to start with, right?
Right.
Or whatever it is. So this is very much a low barrier to entry. We say that a lot. But if we do it right, we can also be low risk, low investment with a high opportunity for success.
Yes.
The threat of substitutes is the third one, right? What could buyers buy instead? So this is a good one. Like if you're a Microsoft, what are they going to buy instead of my Microsoft Surface laptop? Well, they could go buy an Asus laptop for a third of the price. Is that really a danger? They're not playing in that same space.
They're not fighting for the same customers.
Right. So we'll see about how we can apply these to our FBA business in a minute. Then the bargaining power of suppliers. So how much do your sources control what your costs are?
Quite a bit.
I think in our space, even if you think you're going to get the magical wholesale opportunity, it's really not.
It's still controlled by the supplier.
Yeah. It really is a supplier-controlled space. And then the bargaining power of customers. We do see this quite a bit with the bargaining power of customers, especially so in the more traditional retail sense, this is why Costco and Sam's Club do so well, right? They're willing to go in and buy it by the truckload so they can save money. The whole bottle of water arbitrage scenario the story that we tell, right?
Yeah. Exactly, but those are not our target customers. So
we're not selling the bottle of water.
Fighting for the same.
To the person who's willing to park in the back of the parking lot, walk all the way to the back of the store, pick up the case of 48 bottles of water, put it on a pallet, wait in line to get checked out, take it back, so they can end up paying 29 cents for the bottle of water, right? Yeah, we're fine with the people who are willing to pay $2.49 for the bottle of water or whatever it is.
Now, we may go to the back of the and get the 48 hours, and that may be worth it to us because we're going to make money on that.
Yeah.
Same process as going to Walmart. You don't go to Walmart to save money.
Yeah.
You go to Walmart to make money. That's right. All the time.
Me, yes, personally.
You personally. Yeah, we make fun of Brian because he will not go to Walmart to save money. And he would never go to Walmart before just because it was crowded and there were a lot of people and it just was not fun for him until he learned he could make money at Walmart. Now he's happy to go.
One of my favorite places to go, actually, is Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how does this apply to Amazon? Well, let's be honest about the playing field here in the Amazon space is always evolving, evolving.
Absolutely.
Case in point, GTIN, enforcement of Trader Joe's listings recently, right?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, that took out a big swath of people's businesses, right? People who were focused there. So we get new policies, we get brands that get gated, we get compliance rules. These things are constantly sort of redrawing the map, which is actually to our benefit.
It absolutely is. And it's something that we always want to do as well, is continually improve. Amazon's trying to continually improve and take care of issues that come up for themselves. And we should be doing the same thing. With our business. I think you're going to get there, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, our edge in this space comes from finding this underserved ASIN, the empty shelf space, right? It's not necessarily glamorous. I can't even tell you what some of the things are that we sell. But, I mean, I know what it looks like, and I know that it makes money.
Pumpkin spice coffee.
No, I know what that
does not sound... I'm saying some of the things don't even sound appetizing to me, but we'll be happy to sell them.
And then we got to figure out, where do we have the leverage in this space, right? One of the things that you get the longer you've been selling, the more of a trust score, your better trust score that you build with Amazon, is you get access to more premium brands.
Yes.
Right?
It gives you more choices.
More choices. So this is like a place that you can get leverage.
Yes.
When we're talking about leverage, I think our systems are a big spot for leverage too. In fact, I've been really focused on that lately, but that's a whole nother, that's besides the point. Okay. Also,
and he's saying that facetiously. He knows how to say that. He's making fun of someone we know.
Not making fun, laughing with them.
Laughing with, yes. Laughing
not
with
at
them,
right?
She would laugh with you. This is true.
There's also the niche replenishable products that still have a pretty steady velocity, right? Yeah. These are listings with fewer sellers who are willing to manage that particular type of product because of the extra work that is required, of the extra capital that may be required, of the extra muscles that may be required. I mean, there's a lot of, you find your niche here, right?
Well, let's face it. We're getting paid to do something other people aren't willing to do. So, you know, that's part of the whole deal, right?
Right. So we also know, like I said it earlier, like, we're not trying to win every buy box. In fact, we sell regardless of the buy box.
We don't even care what the buy box is.
Sometimes that we might sell it at the buy box, and sometimes we might sell it above the buy box.
We might sell below the buy box.
In some cases, we may sell below the buy box.
We don't pay attention to where the buy box is, ever.
Yeah, right.
It's just not part of our system.
Well, I'll come back to that repricing below the buy box in a minute.
Okay. But we have been known to go up because we found the buy box was higher.
Right. But once you know where you're competing, the next question usually is, how do you stay competitive when everyone else has access to the same tools, right? And
the same costs.
Yeah, and virtually the same costs. How do you differentiate, right? So this is the second concept, where the systems that you have in your business are the moat that protect your castle.
Okay.
Right. And so, again, some strategy thinkers, just a little newer from the 90s, realized that most great businesses don't win because of the market that they're in. They win because of the resources and capabilities that they build within the market. Right. And this concept is called resource-based view, or RBV. So if we take that and apply it to our space as resellers, we can break it down into a number of different categories here. Okay, I'm going to pick 5.
Okay.
The sourcing network. Where do we find our product opportunities?
Right.
You know, just a real quick niche conversation in there is, we call out regional stores all the time. Okay. And regional stores have been a place where you can take advantage of things in your area. It doesn't necessarily play well if you're doing the prep center thing from overseas, right? True.
A lot of those you have to do. Yeah, you have to go to the store. But you can hire somebody like we do to go to the store. Trader
Joe's was a regional store for a long time. Like, it wasn't national. True. We didn't have Trader Joe's in Colorado for a long time. Or we had to go other places.
So that is one thing that helped us get shoppers. Our first one was because we don't have a Meijer or a Menards or a Rural King in Denver. But our niece had all of those things in Cincinnati, where she lived at the time.
Yeah.
And guess who we hired, and who was really great for us for a long time.
Right. I think of another one that stands out to me a lot is H-E-B.
Like H-E-B in Texas, yeah. Well, we happen to live in Texas, so we know of H-E-B.
I know of H-E-B, but
we happened to in previous life.
Yeah, long before we ever learned about selling on Amazon, we lived in HEB towns.
Yes.
And HEB was great.
HEB is a grocery store for those of you who don't live in Texas.
But they don't ship.
They don't ship.
Okay.
No,
Meijer
neither does Meijer.
Doesn't ship. Okay.
Menards does, but they charge quite a bit for it.
Yeah, charges a lot. Rural King ships, but they charge a lot. You can still make it worth it in some cases.
Right, but in our systems, we could save money by having somebody go pick it up.
That's right.
And ship it for us.
Mm-hmm. So your sourcing network is important.
Yes.
Right? And just to maybe put a fine point on that, we always talk to when we're talking to new people, well, how do I know where to find this? How do I know where to find this? And your solution, I think, is great, especially when you're brand new. You'll scale out of this pretty quickly, but...
Well, because one thing that we know is that you must have a source that's authorized by the brand.
Mm-hmm.
It must be a source that's authorized by the brand.
Yeah.
So when we start, in fact, to this day, we still use these same sources, the ones that we already know, love, and trust. We don't have to ask if Target has a direct relationship with the brands that they're selling in their store. We don't have to ask Kroger. We don't have to ask Walmart. Mm-hmm. Be careful, Walmart Online does have third-party sellers, and we don't want to use them. But we use those sources that we already know, love, and trust. I name a few of them. There are many more. Walmart, Target, Kroger, Costco, Sam's, Home Depot, Lowe's, CVS, Walgreens, those types of stores that we already know.
Yep.
They have a direct relationship with the brand, and we don't have to ask.
Great sourcing network. Don't forget to include the regional stores we were talking about.
And Meijer, HEB, Menards, Rural King. Yeah.
The second thing is capital discipline, right? How well are you managing your cash flow and your capital? And one of the reasons we like to say, if you're just coming into this business with a chunk, whether that's $3,000, $5,000, $50,000, that you are disciplined about the way that you deploy that over your first several months in the business because of the delay of it coming back to you.
Right.
Last place we want you to be is you spent all your money in 2 weeks and now you're waiting for 6 weeks to actually get anything back.
Exactly.
We need to
because you're not learning anything while you're waiting.
Right. We need to develop that consistency and confrequency. During that time frame.
Yep.
The data skills. So how well do you read Keepa? And how well do you... Yeah, it's really Keepa, in my opinion. And a little bit of the Amazon Seller
And how distracted do you get by Keepa data points, I would say, is the other end of that.
Yep.
You only need a few to decide if you're going to test. And then let the test tell you whether you're going to have profit or not.
It wasn't how well... It's not how many different data points you know. It's how well do you know the data points you know, right?
And how well do you utilize them?
And then operational efficiency is the fourth one. So if we apply this to the Amazon space, I'm thinking about how tight is your prep? How disciplined is your repricing game, right? What does your prep and ship look like if you're not outsourced for that? And if you run a prep center, then you are absolutely focused on prep, your efficiency of your prep and ship, right?
And again, I'm going to go the other side of that. If you do have a prep center, you have hired somebody to do your prep and ship, or you are using an automatic repricer, how tight are your systems then? That seems like it would be even more difficult to tighten that up when you have someone else in between you and the process.
Yeah.
So, all things to think about.
And then your systems and structure.
I'm so contrary to everything you're saying today.
No, it's all good. It all lines up. Your systems and structure. Can you go away for a week and your business continues to operate? Right? If the answer is no, then your systems and structure probably need work.
Yes. You haven't built it yet. You must build it. And, God forbid something should happen, like you're in a car accident or something like that, and your business just has to wait for you to come back. That can really, really hurt. Yeah. So build that as quickly as possible. Obviously, you don't have that in the first few months of your business. You're building it. But you want to get it built to that point.
I think a lot of sellers think that, this new supplier or this new software tool is going to be their breakthrough. But I would love to get a panel of seven-figure sellers on here and ask them the question. But if I had to hazard a guess, I would say what makes them different, and they would say what differentiates them is Their systems.
Their systems.
It's the systems. Doesn't matter the supplier. Doesn't matter the product. It doesn't matter the software. They have. I mean, software could be part of your system, so that, you know.
Sure. But you have to decide what your system is and then apply the software to it.
Yeah.
So, I would say that those 7-figure sellers probably would tell you they couldn't get there without systems, and they've had to build them in order to get there.
So your operational excellence is the real advantage, not the tool, not the product, whatever, because suppliers will get discovered, right? Listings will become saturated, systems endure.
Systems endure.
For a much longer period of time anyway.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed. And they can continually be improved.
We were talking about this one before too, like we can both, like our business and somebody else's business could both be selling the exact same ASIN. We see this a lot, actually.
We do, because we see many, many different businesses.
Yep. And one business is making a profit and the other one isn't. And they could be both selling it for the same price and acquiring it at the same cost.
Yep.
How does that happen?
Well, they don't have a system that is efficient. So you can make more money through efficiencies.
Yep, exactly.
That's what spreads the cost from the profit.
One's keeping their overhead low. Their prep smart. Their restock is fast. The repricing is good. Right? All that stuff that is working in a system.
They're continually improving their system. They're always finding ways to make that better.
And another one has the same.
And it's in a mix of a book of business that supports it.
The other one has been selling the same product, right? But they either are far less profitable or they don't make money because of delays in restocking, because of debt that they're trying to manage, because of sloppy repricing. You know, there are a lot. It's just so interesting. It really, to me, illustrates the point very well that it is not about the product that you're selling. It's about your operational efficiency, which is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you're making a great case for getting a coach to help you navigate this. Yeah. So which is, you started to say.
What I say, which is how we get into the final concept here, which is that profit lives in the value chain, not in the product. Okay. Again, this one came from Michael Porter again, but this time a decade later from the 80s. Okay. Where he breaks the business into its core activities and makes a determination, you know, puts some criteria around it and evaluates it and analyzes and says it's either adding value or it's leaking profit. Okay. And what do we?
These principles are still true.
Absolutely, they are. But it's one of the reasons that we came up with the 7 core competencies, right? Sourcing, shopping, prepping, shipping, pricing, replenishing, and your business acumen. Those things are either, right, adding value or leaking profit.
Yes, that's where profit leaks. If it leaks, is one of those places. So those are the places you can find the leaks.
And don't think of leaks just in terms of dollars. Think of leaks in terms of time. Right? And resources other than dollars.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think you're right.
Well, so if you can identify where your biggest leaks are, sloppy repricing, slow shipping, lost inventory, right? Or refunds, like
inconsistencies.
Not restocking as fast as you could or should, and
having to start over every month.
Exactly.
You did one thing and then you let it sit.
Letting the plate drop of the spinning plates, right?
Getting that plate spinning again.
And here's 2 things that come to mind for me. The last point was the poor cash flow visibility. This is something that I see a lot. Yeah. Because of things sort of go away in a black box for 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. And I say things, your money. Your money goes away.
Things like dollars, yes.
Yeah, to this black box that is the Amazon beast for 6 to 8 weeks while things are happening, right?
So it's important to understand where your money is and how, you know, when that's going to come back to you and how to use those systems to your advantage. And
the other one is refunds, which I think I could put into the lost inventory category here.
Yeah.
But people don't understand how refunds and returns impact their bottom line.
They absolutely do.
Which is why I love doing that profit profile session. Yeah. Not that
you find it in refunds a lot, don't you?
Yeah. I'm not looking to like, this is why you shouldn't sell clothes. Not at all.
No, you're looking to say, hey, here's a place we can win.
You may not be as profitable, and I can make you more profitable.
Let's work on this.
Let's work on this, right? We can absolutely do that. But pick one of those things, okay, and make that continual service improvement initiative once a quarter, right?
Yeah.
So
you can't do it all or find it all at once.
You can't fix everything at once, right? You didn't build it all at once. You're not going to fix it all at once.
Exactly.
Right? So we're focused on one thing per quarter. And that's another reason I like doing that profit profile is we can usually find something that's inefficient because we're looking at the numbers.
And you do it many times with people once a quarter with some people, don't you?
Many times? You mean quarter after quarter?
Quarter after quarter with people. Yeah. So, okay, I got this down. Now let's see if we can find something else to work on and you help him with that.
Yeah. And the point here is that I was talking with I was posting in the Facebook group with someone else about the whole, the shipping costs are just eating me up, right? I can't make any money because the shipping costs are eating me up. And then they're like sending in 14 items. And of course, you can't focus on profits at this point in your business.
Right. If that's all you have, this is not the time to focus on the profits. Right. This is the time to build it large enough that you can make some changes. Yeah. And that building has to happen. Yeah. You got to let yourself build. Yeah.
So until your chain is efficient and, is A, operational and B, efficient, don't get too overly concerned about profits.
Right. Build that consistency first.
You will dial in the profits over time. Okay. And the last point actually falls into the business acumen, which is a big part of that, profitability. Yeah. Because
knowing where your money is, knowing what the refunds cost you.
It's definitely its own skill set. It's not like sourcing. Yeah. It's not like shopping, prepping, or shipping, right?
And it's not just opening Seller Central.
Right.
You need to have a purpose and go through Seller Central and find what you need and draw from Seller Central data points.
You need to clearly understand your P&L, your profit and loss statement. I believe you do. I think, ultimately you're going to get a report on this from your accountant who say, and then you can just skim it and you're like, okay, this makes sense to me. But until you unpack one of those things, right, and every line item on there, you're running a business, you're like flying blind, right? And
it comes to mind something a mentor told us many, many years ago. Blind dog with a note in his mouth can make money in pretty much any business for a minute. But to have the predictability, sustainability, and scalability of a business that will serve you through your future, you got to build a little bit more than what a blind dog with a note in his mouth can do.
Well, I think we had this realization from a business acumen standpoint about maybe 12 months into the business that we fixed one little thing and dramatically impacted the profitability of our business, right? And for me, it was when I stopped pressing the easy button of the repricer. Yeah. Not that I don't use a repricer. We do. But
not to the extent that we thought we were going to be able to in the beginning.
I did from the beginning.
Not in the same way.
Yeah, I did in the beginning, and I just said everything to buy box, right? And when you take your foot off the gas of the buy box, you will find that you can, yes, your sales velocity will slow down, but your profitability will increase. And this is what we're ultimately, doesn't everyone want profit? Who cares about top line? We all care about bottom line.
I think especially in those back-ordered situations, which to me is a clear example of underserved shelf space.
Yeah. All right. Well, unfortunately, I'm up against it here today, Robin Joy, so we're going to have to wrap this up.
Do you have a quote for us, Brian?
I do. Before we go, I have a quote. Jim Collins, who wrote the book Good to Great, his quote is, "Greatness is not a function of circumstance. Greatness, it turns out, is largely a matter of conscious choice." It's all the things we've been talking about, right? You choose to manage your business.
You don't just let your business tell you what it's going to be. You choose.
You choose the market that you're in. You choose the types of products that you are reselling. So yes, absolutely.
I like it. So when your sourcing slows down and your profits dip and your value chain signs it's like it needs to be.
It's out of sync.
Yeah. What do you do?
I think I know the answer to that.
What fixes it?
Test more ASINs.
Test more ASINs. Let's go test more ASINs, everybody.
Great to see you. We'll catch up soon.
Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for joining us for today's episode. But before you go, I got a couple special minutes for you. Let's spend some time with my good friend, Jeff Schick of jeffschick.com. Over the years, he's handed us so many great tips and insights to help protect our e-commerce, Amazon, Walmart accounts from legal and policy violations. What are you seeing lately, Jeff? What new tip do you have for us today?
So what I wanted to talk about today is about the idea behind acknowledging violations. So one of my clients had a conversation with me last week, and they mentioned that they had a perfect account health score. And I was like, that's great. Like, you looked at their dashboard and it was zeros all the way down. And we were just talking it through, and they said, yeah, I just acknowledge violations when they come in. And, if I can't fight it on an appeal, I acknowledge it. So that way I get it off my account. And it was an interesting conversation because that was what they thought that was going on. But with our experience with other sellers and, especially dealing with Amazon's attorneys, we actually see that there's a whole other side of Amazon that the sellers don't see that's beyond the seller central dashboard. And so what I mean by that is that, when you make an acknowledgement on Amazon, the gist of what you're clicking is you're clicking a button that says, I understand and acknowledge the violation and have taken steps to remedy it. It's roughly along that wording. And so it seems harmless enough. The problem is that Amazon views that as an admission of wrongdoing. And so while they're willing to give you a second chance, just like, you show up in high school, you show up 10 minutes late and the teacher, marks you as tardy, but then lets you still come to class. It's kind of the same principle. Amazon lets you, mark yourself as understanding the violation and keep selling, but that doesn't go away. And so, it becomes really dangerous later down the line, depending on what you're actually acknowledging. So like, for instance, an example of that is we had a seller acknowledge a counterfeit claim recently. Well, they were accused of selling counterfeit products that they had purchased directly from the brand. Obviously, if they're brand direct and not through any wholesale companies or third parties, it was directly from the brand's brand.com website. And so the seller was clicked acknowledge anyways because they wanted to get it off their account. And Amazon hadn't been accepting their order confirmations. So the problem with that is that even though it seems like a harmless acknowledgement, they've now acknowledged to Amazon by clicking the box. They've said, I understand the counterfeit policy and acknowledge the violation, meaning I agree that I sold a counterfeit item,
Wow.
Even though that's not the case.
Right.
And so we've seen this surface, unfortunately, a few times now, where Amazon legal, the seller might get suspended for something else. Like maybe they're suspended for order defect rates. And then Amazon legal comes back and says, after a holistic review of your client's accounts, here's all the times they acknowledge selling, for instance, we'll just use this example. Here's all the times they acknowledge selling counterfeit products. So, and we saw this in one of the cases, they said, even though you are correct, the seller did not violate our, let's make enough the example, order defect rate policy. There's obviously something else, but, attorney-client privilege. They said, even though the seller didn't violate this order defect rate policy because they've acknowledged selling counterfeit items in the past, we don't feel comfortable continuing this business relationship because they seem to have a problem with sourcing inauthentic items. And this is a seller who'd always bought everything from the brand, but just wanted to have that perfect account health dashboard. And so they kept acknowledging the violations when Amazon wouldn't accept their appeals.
Right. So if you just acknowledge it and say, yep, I'm guilty, even when you know you're not, and you probably should fight it, that could come back to burn you at some point, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. It can come back to burn you big time. And so even like in cases where, for instance, a brand, the seller gets an IP complaint and we have been fighting it, the brand won't take it off, Amazon won't accept the seller appeals. A lot of times sellers will then come to me and say, well, can I acknowledge it? And I'll say no, because you didn't sell a counterfeit item. You don't want to acknowledge this and put this on your record, telling them that you did something you didn't do because it could have further implications down the line. Yes. Because, items drop off the visible dashboard after 6 months, but an acknowledgement stays on your Amazon account definitely for Amazon's attorneys to see. So it's so it's just one of those things. Like it's better to let it ride it out than to admit to doing something you didn't do.
And in all cases, that's something I would run past you and your team and get your advice. That's the reason we keep you guys on retainer, just a few dollars a month. jeffschick.com. Yeah, before you click any acknowledgments or admit something just to make it go away, you need to run it past Jeff and his team. And that's a great insight today, because you do see some pretty bad advice floating around the e-commerce forums and Amazon groups. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, just acknowledge it. It goes away and it'll vanish from your dashboard. End of problem. Well, no.
And even account health associates, if you call account health, they will do it too, because guess what? On their metrics, they're graded on, how effectively they're helping sellers. And having someone acknowledge something is just as effective as having them appeal something successfully.
Yes.
So, that's always a big piece of advice. We always tell people, trust but verify, trust but verify.
Yep.
So Amazon seller support can get, account health support or seller support, whichever team you want to talk to. They can give you decent advice sometimes, but always verified, because unfortunately there is a lot of times that they give bad advice, and sellers are responsible for having read the policy themselves. So you could literally read the Amazon policy on, late shipment rates, for instance, and read that it says, after X% you'll be suspended, and then call seller support and account health support and ask them, to explain the policy to you. And if they do, and they explain it to you wrong, that's on you for listening to their explanation. Unfortunately, Amazon's not going to give any deference. Even if you have a recorded phone call, they're not going to come back and say, well, you listened to us, but so we're sorry. Yeah. They'll come back and say, well, you should have done your own research to verify it.
I'm sure it's in their terms of service somewhere. Even if we give you bad advice, you're responsible for your own actions.
Actually, believe it or not, they actually do have that paragraph. It says, nothing in this should be considered legal or compliance advice, and we encourage sellers to work with outside consultants and attorneys to ensure compliance with our policies.
So that's Amazon itself saying every seller needs to go hire jeffschick.com and put him on retainer.
They would just go ahead and put my logo there while they're on it and make life
exactly. Save everyone some time, man. Just send them right to the best. I love it. That is really good stuff. Even if it kind of reminds me of calling the IRS and you say, I'm having trouble on this line of my tax form, and they give you really bad advice. That agent's not the one that's responsible. You are.
No.
Same thing here. Just because you finally got an agent to say what you were hoping to hear doesn't mean it's the best advice. You need a pro in your corner.
It's interesting you say that. Back in the day, before Amazon collected the sales tax, Arizona used to have a policy that if you called them or emailed them, they would, and they told you that you weren't responsible for the sales tax, that you actually were still responsible. But if you knew the proper channels to go through, and you had a tax, either a tax attorney or an accountant reach out to the Arizona Department of Revenue and do what's called an official letter ruling, they would write you the exact same email, but they'd stamp it with an official letter number, and then you wouldn't be responsible for the tax. So it just goes to show, it's, the phone calls and the emails are great, but if it's not the right channel, it doesn't carry any weight. So.
Yeah. Well, all I just heard you say is I'm sending all that to Jeff and his team when it comes up, because I don't want to have to worry about it. As so many of us in our community do, man.
So, we appreciate
you very much, man. And a great sponsor of this show. For those who haven't heard of Jeff before, get over to jeffschick.com, spelled just like the razor. Put his team on retainer for a few dollars per month. And Amazon, Walmart, e-commerce, rules, laws, regulations. Man, these guys are good. They're so good at what they do. And I just appreciate you, Jeff. We're going to do this again next week, right?
Awesome. We will. Thank you.
Talk to you then.
Okay.